3 years after Lydia Montrose poisoned my cereal and tried to convince my dad I was unstable, she showed up at my campus, leaning against my dorm door like she belonged there. My heart jacknified. That smirk, it was the same from the night she crushed my anxiety meds into my tea. Back then, I stayed quiet. Today, I'm not hiding. I'm watching her now, like prey. Subscribe so you don't miss what's next. 3 years after Lydia Montrose drugged my tea and tried to have me committed, she showed up at my campus smiling like she owned the place. My lungs locked. I thought the restraining order meant safety. I thought she was gone, but now she's back, smug and watching. That same smile, the one she wore the night my vision blurred. This time I'm ready. She's not invisible anymore. Lydia first moved in after Dad remarried. Her smile was too wide, her voice always syrupy. I was 17, grieving my mom, desperate for calm. She started with rules, small ones. No snacks after 9, lights out by 10. She said structure helped, but when she accidentally threw out Mom's photo, I snapped. She cried, told Dad I scared her. He believed her. I learned then Lydia didn't make mistakes. She made moves. She volunteered to manage my meds when my anxiety flared. I trusted her. Pills vanished, refills never came. She told Dad I was skipping doses. Growing unstable, I remember Madison calling Lydia sweetly sinister. One night, I caught Lydia swapping bottles, mine for sedatives. She gaslit me, said I was paranoid. Dad sided with her again. That week, I started journaling, writing everything down. I needed proof. It became the only thing she couldn't control. After I missed my therapy session when Lydia promised to book, she told Dad I canceled it. He grounded me for wasting resources. Madison texted, "This isn't normal." I checked Lydia's browser history, no appointment. Just searches for sedative half-lives. I showed Dad. He called me obsessive. Lydia cried again. I journal recorded it all. Why did he always believe her tears and not my facts? Was love blinding him or fear? The fire alarm went off at midnight. My door was jammed. Smoke curled under the crack. Madison was staying over. She screamed for help. Dad busted in with a wrench. Lydia blamed faulty wiring. But later, I found the smoke alarm's batteries on Lydia's dresser. She said she found them loose. Madison whispered, "She tried to trap you." I wanted to scream. Could I prove it, or would Dad call it another coincidence? Lydia offered to help with my college applications. I gave her drafts. A week later, emails arrived, missing documents, missed deadlines. She blamed tech glitches. Madison checked the metadata. Lydia altered my files. Dad said, "She's just helping." I stared at the rejection from my dream school. Lydia smiled behind her tea. My journal now had copies, screenshots. I wasn't paranoid. I was being erased, one detail at a time. But how to stop her? I set a trap, planted a fake message in my journal about a secret meeting with a school counselor. That night, Lydia called Dad, said I was sneaking out. I waited by the door. She tiptoed out, phone in hand. Madison recorded everything. Dad caught her mid-call, but Lydia sobbed, spun a tale of my instability again. "She's paranoid," she said. He hesitated. Why did truth always buckle under the weight of performance? My final straw came the night I blacked out at dinner. One sip of tea and the room spun. Madison called an ambulance. At the test showed sedatives in my blood. I told them Lydia had control over my meds and food. Dad looked wrecked. Lydia claimed I forged results, but the doctor sided with me for once. Madison squeezed my hand. Was this finally enough? Would Dad finally open his eyes? The morning after the I printed my journal, screenshots, and Madison's recording. I waited at the kitchen table. Dad entered, eyes hollow. "We need to talk," I said. He sat down. I handed him the folder, page after page. Lydia's sabotage laid bare. I watched his hands tremble. Then Lydia appeared, coffee in hand. Another show. She smirked. I said nothing, let the evidence speak. Would this be the moment he finally saw her? Dad asked Lydia to sit. She scoffed but did. He opened the folder. Her face stiffened. "What is this?" she asked. "Explain the recordings," he said. She glanced at me, then laughed. "Fake, she's unwell, you know that." But her voice wavered. Dad didn't flinch. "We'll let the police decide." Lydia's eyes widened. For the first time she looked scared. My heart pounded. Was justice finally real? Or another illusion I'd chased in vain? The police arrived that afternoon. I handed over my journal, digital files, the report. Madison backed me. Lydia stood frozen. Dad gave his statement, voice shaky but firm. An officer asked Lydia to come with them. As she refused, they cuffed her. She screamed my name, fear laced with disbelief. I didn't flinch. This wasn't fear, it was survival. But the officer warned me 6 months max. Restraining order maybe. Was that enough to undo years? News spread fast. Some neighbors apologized. Others avoided eye contact. Madison stuck close. Never let me walk home alone. Dad barely spoke. He stared at old photos of Mom, like trying to summon answers. I wanted him to say something, to name what he allowed, but silence reigned. I screamed into my pillow that night. Rage needed sound. Still, I felt lighter. For the first time. Lydia was gone, but her shadow still clung tight. 2 weeks later, I started therapy again, this time on my own terms. The counselor said, "You survived someone who erased you." That hit hard. I brought my journal. Each page was proof, not just of what Lydia did, but of who I became. Madison gifted me a new one, green cover, firm spine, fresh start, she said. I smiled, unsure how to begin, but for once, I wasn't writing to survive. I was writing to reclaim. Dad knocked on my door. I froze. "Can I come in?" he asked. I nodded. He sat on the edge of my bed, eyes glassy. "I failed you," he said. I let her. His voice cracked. I wanted to stay angry, but my chest ached. "I needed you," I whispered. "I know," he said. Silence lingered, then he handed me a box, Mom's bracelet inside. "She'd want you to have it," he said, and my hand shook. Just when I thought it was over, a letter came, from Lydia, mailed from county jail. My name in perfect cursive on the envelope. Madison opened it. Inside, a note: "You win this time, but I always return." No signature, just that single line. My stomach turned. I filed a report. The officer sighed. She didn't violate terms, just contact. But I saw it for what it was, a promise. Lydia wasn't done, not yet. Weeks later, someone logged into my old social accounts, ones I haven't touched in years. The posts changed. Messages sent. Madison spotted it first. "She's trying to make you seem unstable." We filed a cyber report. The trail led to a masked IP, but clues matched Lydia's patterns, same phrases, same sign-offs. The officer said it wasn't enough. I changed passwords. deleted old accounts. It felt like whack-a-mole. She was reaching through cracks I hadn't sealed. Madison got an anonymous message, careful who you protect. Truth has layers. She showed it to me, shaking. I recognized the phrasing, Lydia's favorite cryptic tone. The police dismissed it as vague. Could be spam, they said. But I knew her games. This was psychological warfare. A ghost with Wi-Fi. Madison suggested we document everything again. New journal, new evidence. She's playing old games, I muttered. But I've changed the rules at therapy. I asked if trauma ever really ends. My counselor said, it echoes but echoes fade. That night, I found a sticky note on my dorm door, echo. No signature. Madison wasn't around. Security couldn't find footage. I stared at that word, mocking. Familiar. Was it Lydia, a copycat, or my own mind spinning shadows? I took a photo, added it to the log. No panic, just method. She could haunt but not break me. Dad hired a private investigator, his own way of saying sorry. The Pi found a burner phone linked to Lydia's old friend. Messages tracked to a device near campus. Police opened the file. It wasn't just about me anymore. It was stalking, harassment. Madison cried when she heard. It's real now, she said. To them. I finally exhaled. Maybe the system wouldn't protect me fully. But now they were listening. That changed everything. A detective met me on campus, asked about patterns, fear levels, took the sticky note for testing. We believe you, he said. That stunned me more than anything. I handed over my logs, voice calm. The trauma was still mine, but it wasn't my burden alone now. That night, Madison and I walked the quad in silence. I saw the moon, full and bright. She's losing, I whispered. Madison nodded. Because you're not alone anymore. A month later, Lydia's friend was arrested for harassment. Text linked her to the sticky note. The online sabotage, the burner phone. Lydia denied involvement, claimed coincidence. But the messages mirrored her voice too closely. The DA filed charges. Madison hugged me, trembling. It's over, she whispered. I didn't believe it, but I smiled anyway. For the first time. I saw consequences forming like distant thunder rolling in. Lydia couldn't hide behind her masks anymore. In court, the prosecutor read excerpts from my journal. Lydia's manipulation, the missing meds, the note on my door. The judge's eyes stayed on her. I watched her squirm. When Madison testified, her voice broke. She tried to erase Sarah, she said. Lydia rolled her eyes. But the courtroom didn't flinch. Her mask was cracking. The system had holes, but this time she couldn't slip through. I felt something strange, not fear, power. Lydia's lawyer claimed mental health issues. She was trying to help her stepdaughter, he said. I nearly laughed. The judge requested psych evaluations, Madison whispered. Stalling tactic. Still, I complied. Tests, interviews. I answered every question calmly. Lydia, she stormed out of one session. Her mask couldn't hold. I saw the shift in Dad's eyes. Guilt, recognition, maybe late but real. That day, I didn't feel like a victim. I felt like a witness. Verdict day came fast. I sat between Dad and Madison and Lydia stood tall. Unblinking, the judge listed the charges: harassment, violation of restraining order, conspiracy, guilty, sentence 1 year in rehab, 6 months probation. It wasn't everything, but it was something. Lydia didn't cry, didn't flinch, just turned once, eyes meeting mine. I stared back, unblinking. This time, her stare didn't paralyze me, it bounced off. She was just a person now, no more monsters. After sentencing, I held a campus talk on gaslighting. Madison helped organize it. I stood before 50 students, palms sweating. Abuse isn't always bruises, I said. I shared my story selectively, enough to spark recognition in the crowd. Afterward, 2 girls approached. One whispered, that's my stepmom too. I hugged her. Lydia didn't just lose, she became a cautionary tale. And I wasn't invisible anymore. My voice, once hidden, now echoed where she couldn't reach. At home, Dad started therapy too. He left Lydia's house, moved into a small apartment, invited me over for dinner, cooked Mom's old lasagna recipe. We ate in silence at first, then he said, I believed comfort over truth. I'm sorry, I didn't absolve him, but I thanked him for finally seeing healing isn't clean. But that night, sharing that meal, I felt a fracture mend. Not fully, just enough to stand again. Madison framed the first journal page I wrote. She won't silence me. It hung above my desk. Finals came, chaos returned, but I kept glancing at that page. It grounded me. Lydia's voice once echoed louder than my own. Now, mine filled rooms. I was applying for advocacy internships, domestic abuse education, trauma recovery, using the past not as a wound, but a tool. Every page in that journal, a map out of the dark. Lydia sent one last letter, court-approved, monitored. She wrote, I want to heal. No apology, just deflection. My therapist said, you don't know her response. I burned the letter. Madison watched. Silent. The ash curled like her lies, smoke without substance. I felt lighter, not because she was gone, but because her words no longer rooted in me. That's when I knew survival isn't about winnings, it's about walking away, whole, without her shadow. Summer break came. I visited Mom's grave alone, brought fresh lilies in my old journal, sat cross-legged, whispered everything I never said. I fought back. Mom, she's gone. I left the first page tucked between flowers. A goodbye to fear, a nod to strength. I don't know if she hears me, but I feel her in the quiet, steady present. Lydia took years, but I reclaimed each one, and this moment was finally mine. That fall, I spoke at a survivors panel. One girl clutched her notebook like I once had. Afterward, she asked, how did you survive her? I smiled. Document to speak, trust yourself. She nodded. Tears brimming, I gave her my email. That night, she wrote, thank you for naming what no one saw. Lydia once thrived in silence, but now, her legacy fed resistance. I wasn't just healing, I was helping others do the same. My final act of closure came quietly. I shredded Lydia's photos, those fake smiling portraits. Madison lit candles, no rage, no ceremony, just release. Dad dropped off a sealed envelope, Lydia's handwritten confession to her friend. Thought you'd want this. He said. I didn't read it, just added it to the case file. Proof didn't define me anymore, truth did, and the truth, I survived. Not because she failed, but because I rose fully, loudly, and broken. I stood in front of my dorm mirror, wearing Mom's bracelet. Journal tucked in my bag, my eyes didn't flinch at my reflection anymore. This face had cried, fought, and survived. Madison handed me a coffee. You look grounded, she said. I smiled. That was new. I wasn't waiting for danger. I was building peace. The symbol I carried, my words weren't armor anymore. They were proof of endurance, of clarity. I whispered, I'm not afraid anymore. Lydia served her sentence in a psychiatric facility, barred from any contact with me. Dad wrote a public letter, owning his role, vowing support for abuse survivors. Madison and I founded a campus peer group Safe Pages, where students shared their stories. Journals in hand, at our first meeting, I read aloud the line that started it all. She wouldn't silence me. Tears, nods, strength rippled through the room. Lydia's power ended in a courtroom. Mine began in a circle of voices, and this time, no one stood alone. Thanks for watching. Hit subscribe to check out more stories on my channel.